I think sex trafficking or the abuse of men, women and children for the purposes of sex can impact any company, product, anywhere in the world.
Historically, prostitutes are women that wanted to be out there, and we look down on them. But everybody has a story, so.
I was in school every day. I was on the basketball team, plenty of friends, always was doing activities after school, so everything was great. When I was 14, a guy that lived by my bus stop, he would always try to approach me and talk to me and put me in a different mindset. That resulted in him trapping me and pimping me and had me do things that I never would want to have done as a child.
The vast majority of the referrals I receive are for very young girls. I get a lot of referrals for 12-year-olds, and I just had a referral the other day from a school counselor for 3 11-year-old girls.
Sex trafficking is harmful not only to victims, but it also harms employers. Employees buy sex from trafficking victims. Traffickers and buyers use business properties. And traffickers and buyers use products and services.
Over the last 2.5 years, we've prosecuted many men for trying to buy sex from minors. And what we found is that they come from a broad spectrum of industries in our community. We've prosecuted people who were pastors, doctors, lawyers, executives, laborers, truck drivers, every industry that you can imagine. We did some research on the internet and found that a peak time when buyers are online searching for sex was 2 p.m., the heart of the workday.
A recent study by Arizona State University estimated that as many as 1 out of 20 men buy sex every 24 hours. That means that up to 5% of employees could be engaged in this activity every day. We also know from multiple data points that sex buying takes place in the heart of the workday. It can be costly to an organization, impacting brand reputation and work productivity. It can also create an uncomfortable work environment for women and other men. And finally, it can impact customer retention, especially for federal contractors and subcontractors.
I don't want in my corporation or any corporation, and I think most responsible executives would be the same, someone to be abusing women and children on my paycheck.
The act can happen anywhere. I personally have been to accounting firms to meet with clients. I've been to doctor's offices to meet with clients. I've been to several different locations to meet with clients at their place of business. It happens anywhere. I know of women who have actually had a van in the parking lot of a certain business, and the clients would come and meet them there on the premises of the business in the van.
The initial victimization we call recruiting. These individuals, sex traffickers, oftentimes recruit straight out of parks, shopping malls, restaurants.
Commercial sexual exploitation can take place in many areas of our society. It could be in a hotel, it could be in a condo or an apartment, it could be in a massage parlor. It could take place in a restaurant or a shopping mall or even a parking lot.
My pimp would always make us, have us stop at the truck stop, and then I would go out and I would look for Johns, whether they're standing by their trucks or whatever, and it's kind of just a known place to, exchange sex for money.
Sex trafficking touches virtually every corner of our economy. It could implicate transportation system, whether it's planes or buses. It could implicate our hotels. It can implicate websites, credit cards. Whatever you can imagine is in some way often touched by sex trafficking.
The value to businesses and organizations to take steps to prevent sex trafficking are, number one, to mitigate the risk of reputational harm to their businesses by being associated with this activity. Number two, to prevent safety and other harm that might come to their employees or their property as a result of this criminal activity. And number 3, to prevent civil liability that could be had if associated with criminal activity.
From every point of view, as a company, you have a governance responsibility not only to ensure that you are conforming with international law and the laws of the country in which you operate, you also have a governance responsibility to ensure that your brand is positioned in a way that cannot be challenged from a moral and ethical point of view. Labour abuse and the abuse of men, women and children for sexual purposes is a huge potential liability to your brand, to you and the governance of your corporation. Get involved, find out what the problem is, work with organisations like BEST and fix it by all means. I know that's what your shareholders would want you to do.
What I would like to say to the executives that are active in this and that are, implementing these things and taking a look at this, I would like to say thank you, number 1, because we do matter. Our lives matter too. And, it just gives me hope and gives a lot of people hope that maybe someday, this won't happen anymore.